Dhamma friends, we are going to start the day's talk. May everyone settle down for the talk and give the consent with 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Piya rupe dhammena dimuchyati appiya rupe dhammena vyapajyati upattita kayas satis virati appamana cetasati. Dear Venerable Sisters, Dhamma friends, we are proceeding along this Chappanaka sutta, the simile of 6 animals, and first taking this simile, the Buddha explained what happens in a person, first unrestrained or normal, uneducated, uninstructed person. The 6 senses are pulling in different domains and different habitats, feeding grounds, and whatever it may be, not a single animal is at peace. No contentment, desperately pulling. And within that pull or game, one animal at a time pull all the other 5 to its direction. At that time, all the other 5 not only desperately, defeatedly withdraw. One animal only can take the chance, and there is no agenda. Pulling here and there, this is what it happens. So one has to understand whenever someone is not mindful, how is the scenario, how is the phenomena, and nothing to worry much about that, because that was the case in our past. Before we learn about this restraint, before we learn about this mindfulness, before we learn how to use the body as the benchmark or pivotal point or reference point, this thing happened. So even after you take up this restraint or mindfulness or diligence or vigilance, very difficult someone to think to take whole situation under 100% control. It never happens. Occasionally what happens is you may get amidst of this kind of unrestrained animals and thought moments of mindfulness that itself is difficult to discern. So you may try, you may sometimes achieve, but even then difficult to discern, so hardly you can get the due results of this mindfulness because it's happened amidst of thousands and billions of unmindful thought moments. Occasionally here and there the mindfulness sets in. So that itself is a great achievement in our samsaric journey or in this very life. So the theory understanding in here is to give some hints, to give some kind of a clues to discern what are the mindful thought moments when compared to unmindful thought moments. Otherwise, you will utterly get discouraged, or there won't be any encouragement as to whether my effort is successful or not. So therefore, you must have a certain amount of theoretical understanding, but even then, it's not enough. There is no other way. So suppose that particular person, without getting discouraged, keep on practicing, and that thought moment become 2, 3, 4, 5, like sometimes the gathering the momentum, more and more the stream of consciousness familiar, acquainted with the mindfulness, that particular person get more chances to verify the difference between mindful thought moment and the unmindful thought moment. So there you must have not only the theoretical understanding, the inferential knowledge, the rational knowledge, the deductive knowledge, and that doubtful whether that particular person is really using it, whether he or she is skillful in using the rational knowledge, using the deductive knowledge in the proper way. But it makes the black and white difference. Even if you are mindful, if you do not know, and if you utterly you can say, I try my best, I am not mindful, no gain, no gaining of the ground, no start, because your deduction, you deduce, your inferential knowledge is misleading you. So the discussion is very important on top of the theoretical understanding. And still you have to keep on continue. While continuing only one day, the verifiability come into being. Whenever a person gain the verifiability, his or her faith develop with leaps and bounds. Now the knowledge become verifiable under one's very nose, and that is a very great achievement, and it's boosting one's faith. Occasionally maybe when and where he or she mindful, he or she knows these are the features, these are the characteristics, these are the signs to understand that I am mindful. So therefore, whenever the verifiability come into being, your faith, your energy, your mindfulness, everything develop in an accelerated manner. So that is a very conducive condition or facilitated situation. So you have to keep on continuing, and you may learn the art how to facilitate that kind of a situation, how to fertilize that kind of a situation, how to feed that kind of a situation. And then when it is happening, if you are lucky enough to be with other like-minded people and other working people on the same vibration and sharing, there you can understand this peace among the meditators, the good vibration among the meditators are really important, and you feel like addicted now, just like drug addicted people going to the other addicted people. Alcoholic people go to that kind of people, and people with the other games, everywhere this happens. So that kind of association or wise association can happen only when the dispensation is there of the Buddha, the Buddha Sasana is there, so it's very rare. So therefore, you now try, you have given a try mindfulness, and occasionally you achieved the alignment of the mindfulness, and top of that you discern it from the other unmindful situation, and you promote it, you facilitate it, you give fertilizer or food, and you find there are some other people also in the society in the same like-minded way. So when that is happening, that is the way the gathering momentum, and that time of one's life is more hilarious and happy than Nibbana. It's amazing to reflect back and see what a kind of a swimming against the current, going against the grain. So when it is happening, your restraint develop in number of layers. You feel, you understand how much it is important one to take a conscious decision on moral restraint or ethical values or precepts. Till that you may be observing precepts, till that you may appreciate moral integrity, responsibility, but it is superficial. Once you gain the grounds, only you understand, only a wise person can be a moral person. Morality and the wisdom are two qualities, go hand in hand. Only the wise person can be morally responsible, only moral responsibility leads to wisdom. So when it is happening, you not only appreciate your moral responsibilities, you look forward about the restraint towards concentration as well as the wisdom. So when that happens, you worth call a yogi or a meditator, and when you are going forward, it is very clear the moral restraint is not enough, but it's just a qualification. It's give the basis for the further, so the concentration restraint. Where you try, in a sense, you try to keep your attention or mindfulness limited to your body. That the same thing we can explain from another viewpoint, that is about the solitude. There are three kinds of solitude: viveka, kaya viveka, chitta viveka, uppadi viveka. Kaya viveka is the one we renounce from the village or the town, or go to a forest, sit under a tree, or come to a place like this, Shunyagara, and you try to do away with this extreme desirable thing and extreme hateful thing. And even when you come here, you may not be happy. You may desperately waiting for the others' amenities and luxuries, and may find friction in this life. But if you are wise enough, you may understand that sanctification is the what? Confirming that you already gain the first kind of viveka. You are physically away from this, all the other pollutions and distractions, and then mind naturally becomes lethargic whenever it comes. But imagine a person take delight, be glad about this kind of a situation, and try to put up with, without complaining about the facilities and kind of thing. Understand, with this kind of a restraint, my mind is not now associating the far extremes, positives and negative, and think furtherance of this solitude, that is to say chitta viveka, and that in Chula Sunyata Sutta, the Buddha explained to Venerable Ananda, we are living in the Pubbārāma, in front of the Jetavana Vihara, and we live in the forest. We know verily we are away from the village, we are away from the society, we are away from the gatherings, and we have nothing to worry about the animal husbandry or our jewelries and all the kind of thing. But the forest dwelling is somewhat frictional. That friction we know. As far as we know that friction, we know we are not at home. We are not at the village. We are not in the town. We are not with the people. And then suppose that particular person limit his thinking and behavior towards or to the boundaries of the monastery, boundary of the forest, and somehow the other make a point to be glad, even though it is little frictional and not much smooth. My mind is fairly free from extremes. And suppose that particular person, male or female, next try to limit his attention to his body and sit down and try to keep within the body. And moment the mind is mindful about the posture, about the body, or physicality, or the form, he can understand at that moment there are no aberration or friction from the village or the town, no friction or aberration from the monastery or forest. Now there is a friction. Now there is a uncomfortability. There is a kind of a vacuum. Unsatisfactory situation is limited to the body. So after giving that detail of the situation, next chapter, the Buddha explained, oh Ananda, don't consider this as a friction. Don't consider this as an aberration. Don't consider this as something unsatisfactory. Try to be glad, because now you are free from all the distractions from the village, all the distractions from the monastery. But there are some distractions out of the body that indicate you are mindful. Be glad. Be happy. The Buddha indicate the early signs of the pleasure, and the mindfulness, and the clear comprehension, and the settling down, and that is kind of a happiness. So this is it's a value. Your value system is changing now. You know the body is not it's like a cage. Mind is totally caged. It is always unhappy. It is trying to jump out and all the kind of thing. But that indicate you are mindful. Reason to be glad. And happiness. And the sign to indicate you are mindful. So you must be wise. You must know how to put that into a constructive way. So when it is happening, you know now all the other bombarding external stimuli come and hit on your eye sensitivity, ear sensitivity, nose, tongue, other parts of the body, and daydreaming, fantasizing, wandering, bewilderment, everything happens. But still, amidst of all kind of avenuing external stimuli, you learn the art, how to keep the attention as much as possible with the body. So that does not indicate body is a very comfortable, very pleasurable, very yielding. No. Whenever the mind is with the body, still the unsatisfactoriness is there, still the friction is there, still the agony is there, but it's very limited. So much so, you know, you have done away with the total frustration and the tension at the household life, the total frustration and the tension of the forest life. Now you have forest tension and the frustration, but limited to your body. Can you appreciate it? Can you be glad about that? If that much you understand, that's a kind of a concentration restraint. And if you read all the interview reports, question and answers, from that point of view, we can see how inefficient we are when we are writing our reports. We consider body is painful and it is slack and head is falling forward, sometimes rotating, and heat bubbles and cold bubbles and all the set of complaints. You make everything in a negative way. So it is natural. That is the way the body and my mind relationship it was. Even at the moral restraint, that it is. But when and where you go forward to the concentration restraint, you must understand this very friction indicates you are mindful. This very aberration, this very uncomfortability, this very heat bubble, cold bubble, and amplified signs, signals from the body indicate how much you are within the frame of the body. So, this is the second thing. When and where you try to understand the bodily metabolic functions and how they going to give imbalance and friction, even in the sleep, even in the lying down position, even in the standing position, even in the going for errands here and there, even when you are sitting, traveling, driving, or walking meditation, or sitting meditation, you can understand so much of signs to indicate you are mindful. They are not negative. They are utterly positive if you know the game of how the trying to find a reason to be glad under any circumstances. So when that happens, you understand being a human itself is a blessing. You are born enlightened. But you misread everything and try to searching a balm, searching painkillers, searching counseling, every kind of thing, just to get rid of this day-to-day unsatisfactoriness. So you are hit up with hysteria or panic, all the kind of thing, because you are not ready, you are not taking these bodily sensations in a productive way, in a Dhamma way, in a restrained way, in an advancing way. Whenever you learn this art, you find everywhere is a meditation center. Each time is a meditating time. Each posture is meditation posture. In Sri Lanka, we sell tea and we call any time is tea time. Otherwise, people will not drink. If the people going to drink 1 cup more, we are better off. So we say before the breakfast, after the breakfast, before the lunch, after the lunch, before the bed, early morning, every time is tea time. So likewise, the Buddha says every time for mindfulness. So of course, when you are doing the moral restraint and early part of your concentration restraint, meditation centers like this, geared for that, is a must. Because our mind is so much cheating. It is so much perverted. It's so much crooked. Even though the path is there, even though the first-hand experience, the case histories are full, so you have to read it, you have to discuss it, you have to put forth effort, and with trial and error, while you are enduring, while you are striving, one day you will understand each and every signal from the body indicates you are mindful. So there are no sickness on the world, if you consider like this. And you will not be worrying about pains and kind of thing. You will be happy as far as it's bearable, as far as it's not excruciating. So instead what happens is, we love our body so much, we love our life so much, so we'll never tolerate any kind of a hunger or problems due to the overeating, cold or heat, or before the traveling and after the traveling. Everything we make problematic or we make complaints because you don't know the capacity of your body, you do not know the capacity of this restrained mind. So when and where one take this in a productive way, or constructive way, or radical way to take up or put up with the bodily sensations, it is catching like anything. It's growing, accelerating, gathering the momentum beyond human capacity. Extrasensory perception may set in if you can put up with this day-to-day unsatisfactoriness. You be a human. You are not crazy. You are not chasing. You are not asking for luxuries. You are not going for consumerization, because you know everything is within the body. Now all the animals are tied down to the body. One peg. Tied, they are jumping. They are going here and there. The snake is always pulling towards the anthill. And the crocodile is always pulling towards the water. And the bird is always going up air. And the dog is always running to the village. And the monkey always running. It is mad monkey jumping from one branch to the other. The jackal always searching a carnal ground or a cemetery. So they are there, but their activities are limited to this within the body. So you understand whatever you are entertaining in terms of seeing, it is not the whole universe, it is happening at your eye-door, eye-door. Eye sensitivity is the one everything is giving or decoding and recording, but instead you are changing outside world. And the eardrum can understand all the kinds of sound. If you are not getting the wanted kind of sounds, music, eardrum can make music. It knows everything. And the smells, the taste, the luxuries and the touch and the mind. So what happens is, when you are meditating and trying to keep mindfulness, your attention, or adverting of the mind to the limited to the body, so the external bombarding stimuli, or the objects will not come. So then the serpent is always searching about an anthill, but there is no. So when and where I won't get enough bombarding from the outside, then mental visual objects arising, and you feel like you are in a dream. You can remember your early life. You can remember your grandma. You feel like somewhere else because you are confronted with some visual objects. And it appears more natural than reality. You never consider this is a mind game. You never consider it as a dream. You never consider it as a miracle, the mirage. So appear like that. And the ear making all the kind of sounds. And sometimes you get frightened. Sometimes you feel like a celestial being. There's so much of music and all the kind of thing. And the nose produces so much of smells, and the mouth making so much of tastes, and the body, different postures and different tactile sensation, and mind with full of fantasizing, daydreaming, eccentrically bewildered, and all the kind of thing. Then you can see now these animals, they are moving up and down, but they are tied down with a limited working place to the body. So unless otherwise you have a healthy mind, you can run mad. So it is easiest and shortest cut to go to the asylum if you are not going prepared. And that is what happens in the meditation world. People do meditate not with the Nibbana as the objective. They have other minuous, worldly things as an objective. And that means whenever something happens, they get so excited. They do not know how to put up with that. Because we are not born with that. It is not default. We have to learn. You have to listen. You have to share with others and go slowly with open-mindedness. So physical health and the mental health is utterly checked at that level. So therefore you must keep your body very healthy. You must give enough food for the utility value, basic needs, and maintain the body. Don't go for self-mortification or self-indulgence. And the mind also must be somewhat protected from these vicissitudes, the extremes of the world. Don't listen to that news and this news. Just keep it in a middle pace, and that is the way you are facilitating this to happen. So while it is happening, further, occasionally you can see, amidst of all that kind of a restraint or kind of a success, a visual object come and take you for a ride. And now your mind is at the threshold to see, how can I verify whether I am mindful or not? How can I verify this is a concept or reality? How can I verify whether I am eccentric or I am in the mindfulness? So this is the junction at that time where you feel something wrong somewhere. I am not with my body, but instead a visual object came and taken me for a ride. Equally you may be taken away for a sound object, or smell, taste, touch. But there is a kind of a hint or indication, this is not my domain. This is not my secure place. So that very understanding can lead to moral depression or discouragement or underestimation of yourself if you are not instructed enough. But if you are to understand, this is the time where you are trying to understand unmindfulness with respect to the mindfulness. So this is a very clear indication, my mind is not with the body, but with the eye sensitivity or ear sensitivity. Like as you can see the changing of the channel, without a prior notice it happens, but according to your resilience, according to your resistance capacity, after a while you come to know, now I am no more mindful with the body, but I am in seeing with a visual object, and utterly, or right from the beginning that visual object, liking and disliking is there. Either you have a liking label or disliking label. So to get that message as such, you must have so much of patience, so much of equanimity, so much of preparedness, so much of trial and error, so much of self-sympathy, so much of mindfulness, so much of diligence, so much of vigilance. So imagine a day, you can understand, I am sitting, I am meditating, my main object is rising and falling or breath, but I am now in a visual object, maybe mental or real physical, and no, now I am no more with the body but with the eye. And not to worry, but to understand this is a specific quality of my mind. I know I am wrong. Nothing to worry. That is the license the Buddha is giving. That's the license the Venerable Sariputta is giving. Because you are morally with the integrity. Nothing can happen. Now you are going to go for the next training, next level. So be aware. Yes, I don't know how the starting point of this seeing business. Now I am in the mid of the seeing business, and main thing is not to worry and try to understand how make me busy with this seeing, because it is either liking or disliking. If any, if at all, if you are with the no liking and no disliking, or neither liking nor disliking thing, never carry you away. They are called medium kind of things, or inert things. They never carry you away. Only that can carry, either it is with the coloration of liking or disliking, then you can understand, with respect to that, your body sensitivity, mindfulness of the body is boring. Quite in the no pain, no pleasure situation. That is why the visual object was successful to take you for a ride, make you eccentric, and your mind naturally goes to the higher pleasure or higher pain rather than no pain, no pleasure. So this situation is not yours, it is a universal mind. You are learning it. Only the blockage, only the distraction is if you get worried, then your mind is bewildered, it will never protect you. Mind loses the control, defilement gets the upper hand, you will be carried away along the visual objects. Instead, if you can understand, this has a kind of liking or disliking, that is why carried away. The main thing is not to worry. Then you have a will. You have a kind of a self-compassion. So my body is there. The mindfulness is on the body is no defilement. It is neutral. But now I am towards the positive or negative, liking or disliking. Can I sacrifice this liking and disliking and come back to my domain, my feeding ground, my protected area, and you find nothing preventing you, except your fear, or not the fear, your worries, your judgmental mind. I am a meditator, how can I go leave aside the primary object and go to the secondary object? So it happened, but now you are going to get involved, committed voluntarily, volitionally, with will, then onward you are responsible. So at that moment, when it happens, the situation is, I have never seen any holy scripts other than the Tipitaka dealing at that level, and they are, the Buddha is explaining to the Malunke Putta, and it's exactly the thing the Buddha explained to the Bahya, or Bahya, ditte dittamattam bhavishyati. When you are seeing, it's mere seeing. Don't be worried. Don't interpret it. Don't be judgmental. The seeing is seeing. And if you know it is agitating your mind and the body is less and agitating, so you can stop seeing there and come back. It is not pulling you. So if you are restraining yourself, this is not a moral restraint, this is a higher restraint. If you are restraining, tato tvam malunkapityena tena. You will not assume, you will not gain anything, you will not be proud or inferiority by this visual object. You know this can happen, this is not me, I have no any intention to go for visual object. It jump off because of the universal law. It may be some or the other cause and effect relationship. So therefore don't worry or don't happy. Tato tuam malunkapitta natena. From there you gain nothing, you lose nothing. Yato tuam bahya natena, tato tuam bahya natattha. As far as you are not assuming this, it won't create any defilement in your mind. It won't affect your mind because you are not seconding it. It is still a suggestion. You know, as far as it is suggestion, it can't make any changes. So you know how to stop seeing as a suggestion without seconding, so much so that visual object cannot create any defilement or turbulence into a stream of consciousness. Yato tvamahya na tatta. Whenever you are not assuming from that, you are not there, you are not here, you are completely free, your stream of consciousness, you can understand how to deal with this kind of arousing stimuli, but not to get affected, not to get committed with it. And that is the second stage of your restraint. And at the beginning it appears like a coincidence or electric. But if you have ever heard about when the Buddha is given this formula in his contemporary time, few people got the idea and they restrain in such a way. First go for the moral restraint, and when and where your integrity is there with your body, I mean you love your body, you be with your posture, and don't ask mind to not to go because it is not listening, but still it can jump. It can jump from the body to the different organs or sensitivity. When it jumps, if you are going to assume, if you are going to commit, if you are going to suggest it, that is what you call storytelling. That is what you call the fabrication. That is what you call papancha. That is the point where you start accumulation of your defilement. If you are not seconding it, if you are not going to make stories, fabrication, mental proliferation, that indicates now you learn the unmindfulness. Of course, it is not unmindful, it's a double-fold mindfulness. But unless otherwise you are instructed, you worry. But now it becomes a reason to be glad, because not only that you know that when the mind is at home, but even it is not at home, you know you can maintain bookkeeping. You can trace wherever it goes, but put a mark. It is not in the secure domain, it's outside. But as far as you know it, there are no chances for the defilements to arise. Because mind is not there. From there is no any impingements into your stream of consciousness. So therefore it is something like a watercolor picture washed off. It is not a permanent marker. And the moment that happens, the Buddha says, your liberation through the concentration or liberation through the wisdom indicates in that particular event there is no defilement. Possible defilements are not arising. That means you are developing a kind of a skill how to make possible defilements null and void. Maybe very small achievement, but this is the first time in our samsara we learn the art how to make possible defilements null and void. Anuppannānaṁ pāpakānaṁ akusalānaṁ dhammānaṁ na uppadāya chandaṁ janeti vāyamati viriyaṁ ārabati cittam paggannāti padāti. You understand unreasoned defilements now. Possibility is there for you to have likings and dislikings to the visual object. But you note it red-handed, but you are not seconding it. Chandaṁ janeti, you develop kind of experimenting with the possible influx of the defilement, but you stop at that level. And vayamati, next time also you go back to your body sensitivity, and again the bombarding can happen, again the mental daydreaming, fantasizing can happen, and when and where happen before it goes up to that particular rut, you can slowly catch it as and when it is leaving from the mainstream, or you are learning the art of nipping at the bud level. So for that same mistake, so to say, must happen again and again. It is not a mistake, it is the noble quest, it is the experiment you are doing. When and where it happens, you try to not let that to get into such a rust or rut. Just catch it one thought moment before. So this is the best explanation for the yoniso manasikara. You are pulling it back to the origin. First time when you are catching, it is fairly gone beyond control. Almost the potential is there for defilements to arise. Now you are training again and again. That means you are not hating distraction. Now you learn the art, how to deal with the distraction. You will say, without distraction, no Nibbana. Without distraction, no progress. So Webu Sayadaw is also a contemporary of Venerable Mahasi Sayadaw. He is not like Mahasi Sayadaw. He was not a scholarly person. He's an ardent practitioner. So some people make complaints. Bhante, when I am really practicing and when the concentration, if some person is coughing, another person come and slam the door. And some people bring that polythene bags and sara sounds. So I feel so unhappy. Then the Webu Sayadaw says, okay, that is possible because we are in a group meditation. So if you can understand, your mindfulness is breakable by your cough. Your mindfulness is such weak and it is breakable by a slamming of the door. That is to indicate now the level of your mindfulness. So you must thank that particular person. Otherwise you may consider you are a big meditator and everything over. But that particular person come and indicate you where is your mindfulness is. So if you can make it a point, okay, the distracted, come back again, and next time be prepared. If the coughing happens or any sounds happen, don't get much worried. Try to see how quickly you can bring the attention back to the stream of consciousness or back to the primary object in simple English. So the day you understand, of course it has the potential to break your concentration, but you have the capacity to come back and reinstall mindfulness. That is called satuppada, re-establish on the mindfulness. You see that potential, the cough cannot break your potential. Your potential is intact. It is not a permanent damage. If you can make use this opportunity to bring it back and see, you can contribute mindfulness as if nothing happened. One day, the Webu Sayadaw says, one day you will understand now that cough is not much of a problem. Door slamming, no much of a problem. The person come and sit close by and making a rattling noise, no problem. And there you understand now your mindfulness is upper grade, improved, and there you may feel thanking that coughing person. Because meditation master never gives such an opportunity. Only the coughing person is giving. And you feel like thanking, but he says, don't be a fool, go and thank. Instead, thank in your heart. You have to telling, thank you very much. You don't know who is, but thank you, thanks to you, now my meditation level is high. So this is the way each and every distraction or every, in English it's called blessing in disguise, each and everything indicate how much you know recycling of these distractions, so much so your mindfulness becomes diversified, skillful, and that's the meaning of the skill, and merits. So when you go there, slowly you develop the mind, even back at home, even in your working place, the people are not conducive, people are not helping to be mindful. But when and where opportunity happen, you can do and still develop your resistance level. You can still develop your antibodies. So ultimately one day, you have to experience your pain up to the death. So it must come up to the excruciating level, about to die. So much so you try. Of course it's a challenging pain or challenging disease or challenging germ, and it's really, really killing me. But I try to keep the attention, because that the pain, excruciating pain, cannot detach you from your body. Try to be with your body while the pain is really, really torturing you. And when that happens more and more, you are proceeding along the first truth of suffering. Now it is no more suffering, it becomes a noble truth of suffering. Suffering becomes noble. It becomes the truth. Unless otherwise you consider as a suffering as a punishment. You consider as a bad omen. You consider as a karmic forces. You consider as aberration, friction. But once you come up to training, higher training, you understand each and every time the pain come and impinge you, you can understand where the point you give up and how much you can carry it forward. And two people are not equal, even we are sitting in a group sitting, in this caliber, in this development. We are in a different layers, so therefore you can't compare it to other person, but you can compare it to your past experience. That is what you call the rational thinking or deductive or inferential knowledge. So it is nothing to do, it is something happening. So daily you must understand how much you can go through this agony, how much go through this friction, the suffering, but still, according to my vocabulary, no complaint, no demanding, anything. As far as you are complaining it, that means you are not up to the mark. Your meditative capacity, character is not up to the mark. And if you are demanding, I must have this and I must have that, still not. So the good character, you have to understand how much I am a yogi or how much I am a monk or a nun. You know how to manage with what is given. Manage with the basic values, utility values, so basic needs. Once the basic needs are there, don't go in search of other luxuries. That means, that indicates your love to the body, or it's your lustful love of the body, or love to your life. So more and more you learning not to complain and not to demand, you understand how to put up with basic needs. That is why Buddha, as a lay person, is appointed king. He got his palace and the queen and 3 mansions. He left and went to the forest and he claimed, I am also a human, sleeping like others. He is sleeping in the forest, but never complained. And one person reading the whole Tripitaka, he claimed, whatever the sutta you are reading, Buddha never asking you to fight for rights. Aitivasika, never mentioned. Because everything fulfilled. We got the fully equipped laboratory. We got the full opportunity. Our mind is always asking something. So you have to understand it. Make use the friction, make use the aberration, make use the defilement to understand how much I have developed, and without regret. Take it as an indicator and try to cope up with again and again. That's the way you can see the beginning, the middle and the end of the truth of suffering. So more and more you put up with, you will become a local person, not a foreigner, for any place. Wherever you go, feel like a home. Nothing to worry. That is what the Girl Guides and the Boy Scout, they teach. Be diligent, be prepared, and go out of your luxurious houses. Go into the forest and learn improvisation and impromptu adjustments and live this scout-like life. That is what the yogi life is. So therefore, first moral restraint, just to cut off the extremes, and then in the middle, whenever you train this concentration training and restraint and the wisdom restraint, you more and more come to the middle area, and there also still oscillation is there, but not far extremes, and over there you try to not to go to the extremes, to understand whenever the mind is or stream of consciousness is at the healthy, solitude, contented, peace, untrained mind consider this as boredom. Untrained mind label it as sloth and torpor. Untrained mind feel fearful and uncertainty, no boundaries. So it's always become agitated. So more and more while you are training, you must have theory understanding and the discussions and the preparedness. You are always, in a generic term, we can say you are always in the Nibbana, but you don't know. You consider it as a boredom. You complain it as a monotonous. So you go search in search of this pleasure and that pleasure, ultimately end up with wear and tear, burning, tension. When and where mind becomes calm and quiet and collected into the center, you feel bored. So therefore the whole game is how to be glad whenever you are in the middle area. And once you learn the art, you see more than 80% of your time you are in it. Only thing is you don't appreciate it. You never recognize. You are always complaining about both the ends, endless. So therefore, be aware, be alert. When and where the mind is in its at-home situation, it's born with it. It's your birthright. It is not a result of your meditation. Only thing is you are recognizing it, you are appreciating it, and you can see other people not recognizing and appreciating. They are always searching and research and go outside, but the peace is at home. Or the Buddha says, it is in the Upattita kaya satissa viharati. You are always with the body, or mindfulness on the body, and that make the pivotal point. That make the reference point. That make the benchmark that in a simple sense, you love your body. You love your posture. So, yesterday also I reminded the same. Today also with that remark, I would like to sum up the today's talk. Thank you very much for listening.